I'm on page 201 in the textbook, and we are looking still at vocabulary relating to graphing. And this clip will be about the intervals. So to do this one, you're going to need 4 coordinate planes. And I'm just going to make one and copy it, so I don't have to keep drawing that. Okay, so the first term I want to talk to you about is the positive interval. So positive interval. And to illustrate this one for you, I'm going to use the graph of a parabola. And I told you you would need 4 of these. I think we're only going to need 2. I'm just going to graph them on one. So, okay, so let's put the graph of a parabola. I do want that to be lined up on an axis. I don't know how in the world I get these wonky graphs when I'm drawing straight lines. Okay, that's close enough. So a parabola, remember, is that bowl shape, and I'm going to try this. Let me get the shape, and then I'll get it lined up. That's close. It's still tilted, it's skewed just a little. Oh, that's a pretty one. Okay, so let me line it up where I want it. Let's put it about right there. I need to line those X points up. Okay, so something like that. Doesn't have to be exact, but we need to notice the X coordinates here. So these are both X-intercepts. This type of interval is based on your intercept. So you have a y of 0, an x of 2, a y of 0, an x of -2, a y of 0. So it is this X coordinate that we're interested in. So we have 2 and -2. Okay, so here's what I want you to notice. When the X's are less than -2 or greater than +2, that's not how I want to explain it. Let's focus on the areas that are above the graph. Let's do it that way. So above the x-axis, you have these values. So when x is 2 or higher, in other words, x is greater than 2. Let's not say 2 or higher, because when it's 2, it's on the x-axis. Or when x is less than -2, you are above the x-axis. You're in the positive interval. So the positive interval is going to be the values of x for which the graph is above the x-axis. Okay, so for our graph, the positive interval is when x is less than -2 or x is greater than 2. That's when the line, the red line of the parabola, is in the area above the x-axis. So let's look at what happens down here. What if the x values are in this interval? Where is the red line? It's below the x-axis. So you might guess that this is called the negative interval. And to write this one, we would say when x is less than 2 or greater than -2, you have a negative interval. And that's the definition of a negative interval. A negative interval is the values of x for which the graph, that's the red line, is below the x-axis. Those are your positive and negative intervals. Those are based on the x-axis. So the positive interval in my graph is this orange area. The negative interval in my graph is the blue area. Okay, let's go ahead. We're still on intervals. So let me erase out this little piece and draw myself another coordinate plane. I should have copied that one while I was drawing, but I forgot. So it's okay. Let's draw another one. We're going to use another parabola. So let me try to nail this down. Let me draw the parabola first, and then I'll shift it how it needs to shift. Okay. So let's put it right here. Maybe right there. Okay. And then I want to tell you about the book does decreasing first, so let's do the decreasing interval first. The decreasing interval is defined as the values of x for which the graph falls from left to right. Okay, so let's take a look at our parabola here and watch what happens. Let me not use the same colors I used before, did I? I didn't use, okay. So here comes remember we're moving from left to right, so we're moving this direction. So watch what happens as I draw this. From left to right, the graph is doing what? It's falling. It's decreasing. So this is the decreasing interval. And then once it hits this y-intercept, what happens to the graph? What does it do? And I'll draw it for you. Let me change colors so I don't get all this mixed up together. We've used orange and blue. Let's use yellow and pink. So when I touch that y-intercept, look what happens. The graph starts to increase. It starts to climb. Okay, so this is the increasing. It starts back up. And the increasing interval is defined as the values of x for which the graph rises from left to right. That is called the increasing interval. Now on my parabola, let's take a look here at what that literally means in terms of the math symbols. So at this point, this is the y-intercept, so this is 0, -3. So when x is greater than 0, that's this pink line, we are increasing on the graph. The graph is climbing. When x is less than 0, when it's over here, the graph is decreasing. It's falling as I move from left to right. So the yellow right here is the interval that is negative or decreasing, excuse me. You are not going to need these very often. I wouldn't lose sleep over these. The first two terms, the intercepts, are important, but it's not critical that you understand this crystal clearly as crystal. Don't lose sleep over this one. If you have some general knowledge, you'll be just fine.